Assalamu alaikum. Hi everyone. Warmly welcome to all of you with another detailed training video related to hazardous area classification and safety training, of course. What we're gonna discuss is how what is hazardous area, how do we classify, and most importantly, what kind of safety measures are important, especially for hazardous area. Either it's zone 1, zone 2, or zone 0. On the other side, 20, zone 20, 21, or 22 related to hazardous kind of combustible explosive gases or vapors, gas that belong to zone 0, 1, 2, or even zone 1 in other words. And then, of course, we'll be discussing about the combustible gases. Assalamu alaikum. Hi, everyone. Warmly welcome to all of you with another important detailed training related to hazardous area, classification, and safety training. So, important question is what is hazardous area? How do we classify the hazardous areas in terms of zone 0, 1, 2 related to explosive kind of gases or vapors? And how do we classify the combustible dust, the areas like 20, 21, and 22, which is becoming more and more critically important, especially in the oil and gas industry? So I warmly welcome again to all of you, and please subscribe, like, and share if you are new to our channel. And same like other topics, inshallah, this topic training title would also be giving you a lot of informations, but make sure you learn here for actions rather than just informations, because any knowledge converted into informations you can get anywhere. But the point is, I'll be sharing a lot of actionable items which you truly have to implement if you are working anywhere in Saudi Aramco or oil and gas network. Plenty of like if I take an example of Aramco itself, maybe 35, 150 kilometers pipelines already, along with the different gas plants, is implemented, executed, including the gas as well. A lot of refineries are there, oil rig sites, gas exploration plants, and different kind of gas pipelines with a lot of control walls, barge compartments, and etc. So in that context, it's becoming more and more critical for the guys who are working in oil and gas to learn this particular area, especially for their safety and the safety of the environment, as well as the company, and of course, the nearby, not only your safety, even the safety of others working nearby you, or working sub or different kind of team members along with you on different projects of oil and gas network. Either it's Aramco, Sabic, Sadara, different gas distribution companies are there. So please learn with eagerness, because anything you are learning which is actionable and you apply that knowledge into your company, of course, it will give you a kind of opportunity to optimize, to improve the process safety management within the oil and gas industry. So let's start. There would be like different modules, but before the modules, let's understand what is the course overview. Just remember ICSC, like you have to be capable how to identify hazardous areas, how do we classify them in zoning and hazardous areas, and most importantly, the safety measures in shape of protective equipment as well, and legally, ethically, how you're going to comply with international safety standards. So these four important concepts or kind of terminology you need to understand fully. Let me explain again. ICSC means identification, classification, safety, and compliance, especially in hazardous areas. So, if you are new to our YouTube channel, Training Zone, this is kind of a daily learning club. More than 60 countries are taking advantage of it, and that's why I'm investing more and more time on it, and making sure is becoming more and more beneficial for all the industry professionals, especially in high hazardous industries. There are basically 9 modules which we're going to discuss one by one, especially the understand the concept for hazardous areas, including the classification systems, and we'll see how we recognize the hazardous substances and conditions. And module number 4, we'll be learning safety measures in hazardous areas. Same way, module number 5 will be talking about how do we make sure that we are only using the certified kind of equipment, especially in hazardous areas. Either it's zone 0, 1, 2, or zone 20, 21, and 22 related to combustible gases or combustible dust, etc. So in module 6, we'll be talking about hazardous area design and protection methods. Very much important because design safety is becoming more and more critical. And here we need brainstorming, we need the industry experts, the pool of engineers sitting all together and designing the best protection methods in line with the local and international standards. If you are working in Saudi Arabia, of course, you have to respect local regulations as well as international regulations. Either you are benchmarking IEC or OEC or even OSHA, NFPA, different kind of regulatory bodies are there. And if you interlink the management system like ISO 9001, 2015, 14001, and 45001, that would add value. If you use API, American Petroleum Institute, again, that would also be another positive advantage. Module number 7 would also be relevant to, even though you optimize everything the way you want, you try your level best, but still be ready to have ERP, emergency response plan, especially for the hazardous areas. Who will do what in case of emergency? And module number 9 will be discussing in detail related to legal and regulatory requirements. And ultimately, the number 9 module is all about how, as a team, janitor to general manager, along with all the stakeholders, contractors, regulatory bodies, might be Minister of Energy, Aramco, if your industry is under Madan, how are you going to make sure you are respecting their regulations as well, including the Saudi electricity coordination with them, whoever is coming on your way. Like if you are a Saudi Aramco, of course, you are everywhere almost, distributing the gas and the oil through different pipelines, and after having treatment in the refineries as per the customer needs and expectations. Either you are supplying to the domestic facilities or industrial hubs, just to meet their energy needs. So overall, how are we going to promote the safety culture? That would also be we'll be learning in this detailed training. So module 1, as I told you, will be understanding, the concept of hazardous areas, like how do you define and constitute a hazardous area with a risk involved. Ultimately, the crux is to understand what is hazard, like anything which can create harm to the business, people, assets, or the environment, and what are the risks involved, where we all have to make sure we are taking care of detailed risk assessment. The master risk assessment register is there. Our existing controls, if you believe, are not good enough, still the biggest room in the world is the room for further improvement. So we make sure, we incorporate some additional controls, implement them properly, and bringing that risk into acceptable level or negligible level, and to keep our employees safe, the environment, the business, and the assets of the company. Also, identify the sources of ignition, what factors are there which can create ignition, and that's why several flash points and fire points, or LEL, lower explosive limit, or upper explosive limit of different gases we have to understand, or even any hazardous material nearby or within the relevant zones are there. Like zone 0 is already is so much critical, so much dangerous, of course, already a red zone. So it's already an explosive atmosphere. So in that context, what type of things are important, and how you're going to make sure to understand the types of explosive atmospheres. Same way, we'll be explaining, the type of the importance of area classification and how do we conduct risk assessment. In module 2, in a nutshell, we'll be interpreting hazardous area classification systems. So make sure you understand the gas groups, especially the principles, temperature classes, and also zone classification. You have to be capable to differentiate between zone 0, 1, and 2 for gases and vapors, and zone 20, 21, and 22 for the combustible dust. So interpret classification standards like IEC, as I mentioned earlier, the NEC, ATEX. So make sure at the end, I'll be mentioning 7 important steps. How do you classify? So those 7 steps practically in actionable pattern, you have to understand if you truly want to be a proper safety engineer, the high-tech competent right person for the right job. Either you are a technician or you're an engineer or relevant to the QHSE, quality safety health environment professionals. Make sure you understand the real concepts. In module 3, in nutshell, since it's all about hazardous substances and conditions, so we'll identify the flammable gases. And here I have a question for you. Can you just research on AI tools or Google or YouTube and find out what are the how many are extremely flammable gases? One example is methane. The dry gas. Some Aramco is supplying to different distribution companies, and they are supplying to other clients, maybe the industries under Madan or maybe the domestic houses and all that. But make sure, whatever the combustible dust or gases are available on the site, on the workplaces, that's all need to be identified. You have to be very much competent enough to understand the conditions required for explosion, like flammable materials, oxygen and ignition sources. And same way, you have to be a good analyzer, especially related to safety data sheets. We call it MSDS, also material safety data sheet. But in Aramco, there is a document we call CHB, Chemical Hazard Bulletin, for hazardous properties, how that chemical is extremely flammable, less flammable, what are the health hazards, how what first measures are required in, or how do we handle it in case of emergency condition, God forbid. So you have to understand the properties. Like take an example of methane, H2S, SO2 like sulfur dioxide, or H2SO4, sulfuric acid, and so on, including the carbon monoxide. Even the oxygen level is also important to understand what are the normal ranges and how we're going to make sure we are working in the hazardous area by following the right set of work permit system safety protocols and making sure our teams are safe, either direct employees or indirect employees through contractors, all have to be safe. So it's a responsibility of all the stakeholders to make sure things are in their favor. Also, we're gonna discuss in module 4 in more depth, like follow safety procedures. Procedures cannot be beneficial until you train people to make them capable, to enhance their competence level, especially to prevent themselves from ignition sources, especially in classified zones like zone 0, 1, 2, or zone 20, 21, and 22. Same way, you have to be capable how to implement hot work permit systems and gas testing protocols. And yes, practice static electricity like control bonding and grounding methods to make sure wherever we are playing with the hazardous kind of materials, including oil and gas, shifting from one storage tank to another, dealing in refineries even, expanding through pipelines to the other industrial units. Surely we have to learn how we transfer and not to let build up a kind of static electricity, which can create ignition and catastrophic kind of explosions or fire incident could happen. So in that context, bonding and grounding methods are critically important. Sometimes it's not only one bonding method. Maybe you have to ensure bonding on different kind of locations to make sure things are going in a safer zone. So I written few of the Arabic words also if our Saudi, because since safety is going to be 100% Saudization. So in that context, our Saudi friends, they have an opportunity to learn through the Arabic words, and I'm sure they'll understand what exactly I'm talking about. In Module 5, in depth, we'll be discussing about identify explosion proof, like how we're going to make it safe, flame proof equipment types, understanding equipment marks, like what is explosion proof equipment and what's their label, like EXD, EX, or EXE. You can see on the bottom of the label, C means what, and EX2. Like if you talk about gas, is class is 2C. If we talk about temperatures, so T4. So in that context, make sure you have regular inspections and understanding, especially to maintain the certified equipment, because ultimately the life cycle or the shelf life or the expiry date is critically important for the assets management. It's a heavy investment when we buy, when we launch any sort of equipment or pipelines or walls. It's all expensive. So for asset safety and security, is critically important to make sure you are only using the certified equipment, pipelines, and all others. Same way, we'll be learning how we're going to implement the hazardous area design and protective measures, especially the explosion protections, containment, segregation, and prevention, of course, and applying the zoning principles during facility design and modification. So there should be a change management procedure. Any modification must be go with a deep-rooted analysis, 360-degree. That's why we have plenty of hazard studies, hazard, and so many other kind of tools are there which we apply and make sure our analyses are good enough to take some better control measures and the best practices. We're going to be making sure, so that that's why we collaborate engineering and safety teams all together to ensure compliance as well. So you have to be very careful what particular standard you are benchmarking. Is it US based, European, or British, or you are relying on local regulations, or you have a comparative study for all the local international standards, and how you collaborate all standards and implementing through the management systems as well. Ultimately, whatever you have done so far, like state of the art equipment are there, they're certified, your teams are trained, everything is done. You are following work permit systems, but make sure still you have to be ready in case of emergencies, who will do what. So make sure your ERP, emergency response plans in hand, especially for the hazardous areas. That's why executing appropriate response actions and evacuation procedures is critically important, and practice makes a man perfect. How frequently you are performing emergency evacuations or kind of fire drills and so on, and or emergency response drills. In other words, communicate effectively during hazardous area incidents. Communication is everything. How do you communicate if something happens, god forbid? uh, Top to bottom, bottom to top. Make sure everybody knows how, what lesson learned you have done so far, because 100% safety still is a big question mark. But yes, we all can try 100% to achieve zero accident club. If your accident graph going up and up, bear in mind today or tomorrow your brand will go down, and it would be not easy for you to get more business, more projects, because trust once broken is broken forever. So bear in mind, you need the right person for the right job, not the people who are great talkers but nothing do you. Make sure the people are not only technically sound, even they have some sort of management skills to ensure their safety and safety of others, especially in hazardous areas. And yes, we'll be discussing in depth about the legal and regulatory bodies, especially like IEC, ATEX, or NFPA. Here is a question. Can you tell me what is IEC stands for, ATEX stand for, NFPA, what's the abbreviation, or OSHA stand for what? This is just an opportunity for you to make it interactive, because since it's a detailed training video, so you have to comment in the comment section what is NFPA stands for, OSHA stands for, IEC or ATEX. Make sure you have proper documentation and labeling of classified areas, including the barrication. Make sure you use color coding, you highlight this is according to the zone numbers, proper labels are there. Then zone numbers are easily identifiable. If any stakeholder or interested party is coming on your site, The system should talk to them rather than you are explaining everything. Same way, make sure you have maintained the compliance with inspection, audits, and audits sometimes should be unannounced. Inspection should be unannounced, undeclared. Then you can have a clear picture what is happening on ground, and make sure you meet the certification requirements as well. If you really want to certify your company with API standards or ISO relevant standards, or you want to make happy to your customers, especially Saudi Aramco. So in that context, you just try your level best to comply with all the relevant legal and regulatory requirements. Yes, ultimately, how we gonna promote safety culture? That is the only area where we all have to cooperate each other, janitor to general manager. Everyone is responsible. Safety, quality, and credibility. No one should deny that I'm not responsible. You have to make sure there are people who report, or everyone have some sort of knowledge how to report unsafe conditions or any equipment faults are there. That's why in oil and gas industry we use SCADA system, and SCADA have a lot of sensors and devices in place in the system. And in the control room you have different indicators, the blinking spots and all that, and accordingly you act to secure your plant, keeping your people safe. And your team should be efficient in the field also, because if you ignore SCADA systems indicators, things couldn't be in your favor for sure in the short term and even in the long run. Now, participant safety audits is critically important. Either the audit is coming from the Saudi Aramco third-party certification bodies, or you have a toolbox talks or continuous improvement activities must be go and on and on. Ultimately, all the international standards, what they are expecting is make sure you are continually improving. So just prove, have an evidence that you are improving day-to-day basis. Like in 2024, if you have 5 incidents, so make sure if you have make a KPI or safety target that in 2025 50% reduction in incidents, then make sure you achieve it. And there must be achievement plan. That's why the actionable items are everything. It's not like just you are learning and listening from here, forgetting, just throwing away. Then don't waste your time. Whatever you are learning, make sure you can apply that knowledge and optimize your company operations activities, ensuring safety culture, helping each other, and foster. This can only happen the moment you start. Foster kind of awareness of hazardous areas, risk among team members. So in the toolbox meetings and safety meetings and induction programs, even through some third party trainings, your simple goal should be uh, to get some support and help to create a safety culture. Now, since the ultimate purpose is to avoid the fire and explosion kind of incidents or any sort of environmental pollution, I give you an opportunity go and research on YouTube about Bhopal incident in India. What happened? How many people were died in a couple of days? Like more than 8,000 almost people were died. Just the toxic material was gone, spread into the air, and nearby community was died just because Bhopal itself is a big city. So just go and research and start learning what happened exactly, how things went out of control, and how that chemical, hazardous chemical, once they spread, how terribly they destroy the nearby communities as well. And environmental damages, of course, are also irreversible. But life is more irreversible because you cannot get a life back once it's gone. So your life, your safety, legally is your responsibility also. If you're lacking knowledge, start learning. You can't be engineer in one day. You can't be good enough just by watching one detailed video. Keep learning. For each word you will see is like a sea, so don't stop your learning. That's why I call training zone is a daily learning club. So keep learning. Now here I have a questions for you. Can you just comment what is fire? What is fire? I'm not talking about fire triangle. I'm not talking about fire tetrahedron. I'm talking about the fire itself. What is mean by fire? So whatever your understanding, write in the comment, and then what are the flammable hazardous materials are there? Can you give some examples? Like one is methane, the second is oil itself, diesel, petrol, in other words, H2S. Other than this, what other hazardous material could be there? So please start thinking, start researching, and keep learning. Your learning momentum will give you more confidence that you are every day you are learning something which can be helpful as a profession for you, even can be so helpful for your company operation. So, fire triangle. What is fire triangle? How the oxygen, heat, and fuel meet together, create a chain reaction, and there could be explosion or fire itself. Same way, what is an explosion? And what are the properties of hazardous material? Why MSDS or SDS safety data sheets or in Aramco CHB chemical hazard bulletin are important? And I'm giving an opportunity if you have 100 chemicals in your company, just go back and start reading, start studying, start learning about the SDS safety data sheets, TDS technical data sheets about those chemicals, about those materials. If you are byproduct selling any hazardous material, maybe you are selling dry gas, even though getting from Aramco through the pipelines, but you are the distribution company, then you have an opportunity to understand how many kilometers of pipelines you have, where you have particular simple, the distribution networks, how your SCADA system is supporting, how the metering system is working for the clients, and either you are making your clients also knowledgeable how they have to manage, that hazardous material, even though they are using it for their industry. Like some of the companies I noted, they're supplying dry gas to different industries under Madan, and there are different companies who are getting the right set of qualitative methane gas, the dry gas, 70 to 90%. The other properties mix up, and then they make it a productive, qualitative product for the industries to use it to run the industries. To be very honest, so what are the properties of those hazardous material? Now is another opportunity. Can you just elaborate what are the properties of H2S? Otherwise, research, find out the MSDS, find out the TDS. Same way, I'm giving you an opportunity to understand the properties of CH4, like methane gas. What are the properties? Same way, ammonia, sulfur dioxide. So, some of the hazardous materials, start learning, especially who are available in shape of gas, which you can't see with your eyes. Okay, so since I asked you, I'm sure some of you will have commented already, but bear in mind, fire means it's a rapid oxidation process, which is a chemical reaction resulting in the evolution of heat and light. That's called fire. Now, what is fire triangle, or what is a flammable material, or flammable mist, or gases and dust? Like there could be flammable materials, maybe gas, vapors, liquid, or solid, and can react continuously with oxygen and may result in fire or explosion. So basically, not meeting them this triangle, or keeping them away or managing them properly, because prevention is better than cure. Prevention is better than cure. Instead of waiting for the incidents, what is more important is be proactive rather than reactive. If somebody gonna die, you have a fatal accident, then you just need to learn the lesson, but still it's a reactive approach. So be proactive, because you are in an industry which is already a red zone industry, right? So you can't ignore safety principles, regulations, safety rules, your company safe working procedures and all that, safe system of work, and most importantly, the invisible enemies in shape of gases, could be flammable, could be toxic here. Now, what is fire triangle? Remember, it's all game of fuel, heat, and oxygen. All three elements must be present to initiate a fire. Okay, so when we teach this process safety management, we discuss more in depth. But here, for your easy understanding, just bear in mind it's a combination of fuel, heat, and oxygen. All three elements meet together, have a chemical reaction, and initiate a fire. What is fire? Tetrahedron, that's all about fuel, heat, and oxygen. And fuel mean anything that burns. It's not like only petrol or diesel or LPG or methane, etc. No doubt they are extremely flammable, but anything which can burn, your shirt, your paper, tissues. That's why housekeeping, 60% You can ensure safety just by having a proper shop floor management, implementing the Kaizen management tools, housekeeping best techniques, lean management tools, green productivity, or some of the safety management system principles you can get from Aramco. Aramco is a good teacher for all of us. If you truly understand Aramco standards, you are the best gentleman to help industries. But if you are just like learning through your experience, or just you are thinking safety is a formality, no need to work in depth, and no need to be technically sound, and you are in oil and gas industry, then you are in a wrong industry. By the way, you today or tomorrow system will kick you out. So be competent in shape of technical knowledge, industry based. Like if you are in construction industry, so safety mechanism would be a bit different. You are in mining industry, be experts in mining industrial kind of regulations related to safety, quality and health, and of course the CSR, corporate social responsibility as well. Sustainability is becoming another hot topic, so I'm just giving some more kind of examples for your further learning, but bear in mind, first focus on this presentation to complete your detailed training. So fuel, heat and oxygen have a chemical reaction, and see in the diagram, in the especially in zone 0 or zone 1 and 2, it can immediately explode if you are not taking care of the area, or you're not like implementing work from a system like no gas testing, no lockout tagger isolation, or you are using the wrong tools, you are using the incompetent people, they are not knowledgeable, they are not competent enough, not trained and certified, that then you are increasing the probability of incident or accident. So it's a game of fuel. And what is fuel? Maybe the combustible material, can be solid, liquid, or gas. Look at the diagram. Oxidizing even agent like oxygen, heat, in any shape it can be present. Could be temperature. That's why we have to understand what is the flash point, the fire point, the auto ignition temperature, or different extremely flammable gases or hazardous materials. Same way, what is the chemical chain reaction? Like chemical chain reaction known as the fire occurs when fuel, oxygen and heat are present in the right condition and amount as well. No explosion. For easy understanding, bear in mind is an uncontrolled release of energy accompanied by a sudden and violent expansion of gases and possibly rapid combustion of any flammable materials present. So look at some of the pictures or diagrams, like primary explosion going to be there, then secondary explosion. So secondary explosion is more vital, more terrible. So that's why it's a game of design, it's a game of best protection methods, it's a game of fire and explosion proof certified equipment you are buying in, you are using in. So make sure you understand the importance of quality, and quality is always expensive, safety is expensive. Make sure you have the right set of budget, well approved by the shareholders or the business community people who are interested to go for this industry, to have more projects or to have more companies on board in this hazardous zones. Just an example of explosion, what can go wrong, just understand the factors. That's why it's important to understand the flammability range of different gases, different chemicals, lower flammability limits, even upper flammability limits. And these are some of the examples, like if it's a gasoline, what is LEL or FLL? If it is like kerosene, they're LEL and UEL or UFL, in other words. Same with the gas, butane, hydrogen gas, acetylene, and other materials. So that should be on your fingertips. And if you are authorized gas tester, you have to be more knowledgeable. If you are a work permit receiver, especially Aramco approved, make sure you are knowledgeable. If you are a work permit issuer, confined space entry supervisor, or you are a safety engineer, make sure you day by day enhance your knowledge. Don't consider this video will make you engineer or state of the art professional within one day. No, no, no. It's a continuous learning journey. So make sure you don't stop your learning. It's a slow and steadily win the race, right? So even I would suggest don't move forward until you understand each slide of this presentation, what I'm talking to you. I'm trying to explain, I'm trying to teach you, but to make sure further you go in depth and have further research. If any concept you're still missing, comment and I'll be trying to reply. I'm giving an opportunity. Please go back, go to AI tools or Google or on YouTube and search what is flash point of different chemicals, different gases, what is the fire point of different gases or different chemicals. Same way, the auto ignition temperature. Like if I give you an example of auto ignition temperature of H2S is 260 degree automatically, auto ignition temperature. So same way, what is the flash point, fire point, and auto ignition temperature of all the toxic gases or extremely flammable gases or hazardous materials. Now, what is the hazardous area? How do we classify? The area where explosive gas atmosphere is present or likely to be present. But for easy understanding, bear in mind any area where you are keeping, storing, or the hazardous material is lying with more than like 1,000 hours, you have to nominate, declare, allocated that area as a zone zero. And zone zero is itself is a terrible hazardous area where a smallest mistake can destroy everything. So you have to be very careful. Whatever input you are giving in zone zero in shape of maintenance projects, inspections or repairs, or even newly industry you are just starting up, installation, commissioning, decommissioning, all processes you have to take care that you are using the right methods, especially by following our teacher, the Saudi Aramco best practices, because they are 85 years experience. It's a good example in Saudi Arabia. We can learn a lot from Saudi Aramco, how to isolate, how to disconnect all sort of energies. Could be like any hazardous materials or chemicals. How do we like close the walls? How do we make sure, drainage, the all hazardous materials? How do we make sure proper locks and tags? How do we purge, water wash just to make sure the LEL is 0% if you want to go for hot work, And bear in mind for hot work in a confined space, LEL have to be 0% at start, during, and after. Make sure you maintain LEL at 0%. Otherwise, no hot work. Same way, there are certain rules. If you are working in a Aramco network, you can see these all limits are mentioned on the permit, either EOLB, equipment opening line break permit, or you have hot work permit or cold work permit or confined space entry permit. These limits are well mentioned. What is the normal oxygen level, like 20 to 23.5%? What is the H2S, like below 10 ppm? What is the rule permissible limit? 10 to 20, what we have to do, SCABA is mandatory, and more than 20 means sometimes Aramco will not allow you to work. If still you want to work, there would be a short exposure, but along with the approval of the leadership. Sometime Aramco will not allow you if a ppm, H2S 1 ppm is there. They will not allow you because multiple, sometimes it's a start, later on it accelerate, and things could be out of control. So Aramco or the other high hazardous industry top leadership, they are the one deciding, and they have to be the right decision makers to allow people to work in toxic conditions. And yes, your safety should be prime concern. The right set of SCABA, self-contained breathing apparatus, or SABA, supplied air breathing apparatus. Still no harm to have EBA, emergency escape breathing apparatus, for your emergency escape kind of bottle is available. Look at the diagram. There are the boundaries well defined. Look at the color combination. Zone 0, where the liquid is directly flammable liquid is available. We nominate it as a zone 0. And then zone 1, like the vent holes or the area where the leaking is possible, spread, or sometimes the design features are there. We have some auto flare also, and sometimes we put by design need some of the vent holes. And this vent holes, of course, the area we can nominate as a zone 1, and rest is all zone 2, where, and that area could be up to 6 meters, sometimes 10 meters, but make sure you barricade and you make it color coded. Red color is the right one to Either you are educated, uneducated, everybody gonna understand. Put warning signs there. Let the people understand this is the restricted area, prohibited area. Nobody should dare to go into this area without a permit. Yes, what is a hazardous area? Like is defined for with the main three criteria are there, like type of hazard, maybe gas, vapor, dust, or fibers, or what is the likelihood of that hazard being present in flammable concentrations, or the auto ignition temperature of the hazardous temperature. Now, as I told you, please go back and research on AI tools, Google, YouTube, find out what are the auto ignition temperatures of different uh, uh, invisible enemies, like in shape of gases or hazardous materials. Like I give you an example of auto ignition temperature of H2S, like 260 degree. Same way, what is the LEL or UEL of different hazardous materials, that's another area you can start learning. Like if I give you an example of methane gas, CH4, what is LEL of methane and what is UEL? What is the auto ignition temperature of methane? What is, the LFL, or on the other side, the flash point or the fire point of methane. So you just take one hazardous material, you take just one type and you start researching, you know because self learning sometimes give you more benefits. The reason is here I'm just completing the training to make you aware what is the hazardous area classification and what safety protocols we have to follow. But further in depth study, no harm to research. So your hobby researching should be your hobby. Passionate learning should be your hobby. Daily learning should be your hobby. It's not like a one day game or just watching this video and you believe, oh, since you have watched Jack Rana's YouTube video, and now you are expert enough. No, no, no. This is just a starting point. Later on, slow and steadily win the race. So, daily learning club, daily learning momentum, that is where I'm motivating every time. So, make sure you are learning daily. Now, why do we classify hazardous area? What is the reason behind? Because we don't want to see any sort of fire or explosion hazards, especially the risk of fire and explosion hazards. We don't want to see any sort of sparks in shape of energy. And also, uh, there is like the hazardous area we use with special purpose, like explosion protected electric equipment and instruments. So anything we are using in shape of input for any sort of thing, like maintenance project, inspection, or repair, or just make sure every input is well protected and is based on the international quality trademarks, is based on the best practices, and you are following local and international standards. Let's understand the concept of classification. Like hazardous area classification is to be done for the areas of plant, like I mentioned earlier, where flammable mixtures of vapors or gases, dust in normal day-to-day operations is available. Under unusual condition, like catastrophic kind of accidental release of large quantity of inflammable or flammable materials with not easily predictable. Mostly the gases are colorless. You can't see with your eyes. So invisible enemies are always dangerous. The visible enemy, we can handle it up. This coronavirus was invisible enemy. So the whole world shredded up. It was really difficult for the world to cop up. That's why, corona aftershocks still are there. So make sure if you have any storage tanks, make sure you have a good design, and there is a kind of a mechanical sealing of the pump and the area surrounding and the breathing wall or the storing tank is designed, classified in a way that people can take safety measures accordingly. Now, here is an opportunity for you for further learning, and these questions are for you guys. What is hazard? And I mentioned you earlier, and what is risk? Then, can we avoid the risk altogether? Can we eliminate? Okay, let me be more straightforward. Can we eliminate risk 100%? Yes or no? Area classification, no doubt, is a measure of risk, and area classification benefits should also be there. Why these classification is helping, how we can keep safe our employees or stakeholders working directly or indirectly to those areas, and most importantly, how we gonna ensure the safety of our assets, the business, the environment, and especially the nearby community as well. And most importantly, the question for you is how can area classification reduce the cost? So these are the basic concepts where so far we have discussed a lot. Let me see how you comment on it. Otherwise, again, you have a researching opportunity, research and find out what is a hazard, start learning what is risk, what type of risk are there, and most importantly, can we avoid the risk altogether? Can we eliminate the risk 100%? So these are some of the opportunities for you to further learn. Otherwise, I'm telling you, hazard is a source of potential damage, harm, and adverse health effects, safety effects. We have two types of hazards, like safety hazards and health hazards. Anything which is harmful for for safety, of course, it's a safety hazard, or have adverse effect on our safety is a safety hazard, or any hazard which have direct adverse effect on our health is a health hazard. Under health and safety, both categories, there are further subcategories like mechanical hazard, electrical, chemical, motion, pressure, all comes under safety hazards. And under health hazards, maybe biological, maybe some uh, environmental, same kind of. So subcategories are there. So make sure even the radiation, even the noise, even the temperature, all comes under health hazards because they have adverse effect on our health. So bear in mind, no exposure is equal to no risk. If you're not exposing to the risk, to hazards, there is no risk. Look at the diagram, you can easily understand what is hazard, and risk only when exposed to hazard. Okay. So what is risk? It's the measure of likelihood that undesired event or accident will actually occur. So this risk is equal to probability of occurrence multiplied severity of consequence. Imagine if you are having or going to work, or you have a maintenance project or repair project in zone 0. So for this project, if you are conducting risk assessment and one of the activity is lockout tagout, if you don't do it properly, or you don't implement isolation properly, you don't disconnect all sort of energies properly, and even residual energy or remained energy is not there. So what is the probability of accident? If you don't follow the safety rules, the probability will go up. If you ignore safety rules, the probability will go up. So you give a number to probability. Or you say, okay, 5. If we don't follow work permit system, we don't follow safety rules, the probability of accident in hazardous area, especially zone 0 or zone 20 even, or let's take an example of zone 1 and 2 as well, or 20 and 21, or 22, in all like gases or vapors or combustible dust. In both areas, consider the probability will go up because you are not respecting safety rules. You're not following work permit system, or you're not doing any sort of risk assessment, or method statements are not there. The right team is not on board. Toolbox meeting you're not conducting. The right set of PPs are not there. So probability will go up, and you give the number 5 to probability. Then severity. What is the severity? Consequences would be terrible because all three zones are critically very dangerous. So in that scenario, if we're talking about zone 0 or zone 20, they are more dangerous, right? A rapid explosion, rapid fire incident could happen. So all things within that area, including the employees, we call them affected employees, they could be in danger, and fatal incident could happen. So consequences, of course, in shape of human life as well as assets damage or destruction. We can give 5 numbers as well. So 5 multiply 5 is equal to 25, and our criteria is 20 to 25. Any risk or severity of consequences is coming, or the results are coming, we will definitely stop the operation, take immediate actions. We have to bring that risk by implementing some further controls, because existing controls are failed, or existing controls are not sufficient. So you implement, you start following work permit system, you make sure your people are competent, they are knowledgeable, all the way they're learning a lot and making sure they are the safety manager of their own activities. And trust me, several times I mentioned, you have to be the safety manager of your department, your process, your area. Like you are sitting on a chair while watching this video. So sitting on the chair and the nearby area, you are the safety manager. Make sure you inspect the chair before sitting. Same way, if you are going into zone zero, first it's your responsibility also to make sure you are taking care of yourself, following all the right safety rules. If you are lacking knowledge, get training, go back to the HR department of your company, tell them you are lacking knowledge and your safety department and not giving proper training to you. They're not giving induction. Like, let me give you an example. And recently, I visited one company and they didn't give me any induction. Even though I'm the trainer, I went there for training. But unfortunately, I didn't get any induction and I start learning by myself. Where are the toilets? In case of emergency, whom I need to call? Where are the muster points? But to be very honest, from the safety department side, there was not at all induction. And that's one indicator highlighted the overall culture of that company. So I can claim this company not having a state of the art or productive safety culture. So some indicators, when I go for the audits, even by passing through this main gate or the security gate, immediately at one site, we can know what is happening in this company. Either they have a safe system of work or they are just like somehow getting their paycheck every month and enjoying, because mostly the company's owners might be, they have no idea how to handle QHC teams because they are not might be that much knowledgeable. Even during training sessions, I ask, you have a quality policy, but have anybody studied even for a single time? Trust me, nobody was there who gonna tell, yes, I have studied. You have different certificate displayed. Have you studied at least what scope is certified? What is the scope of your business? Nobody studied. So in that context, you have indicators how much the gaps are there and how much opportunities for improvement are there within this that company. But anyway, that's their internal issues. As a trainer, we can't intervene, but yes, as a trainer, we can mobilize, we can motivate, we can make them realize that learning and development is a continuous process. It's a training and development, both are reciprocal. So keep learning, not in one day. Keep learning every day. So can we avoid the risk altogether? No, it's not possible in the world without some amount of risks. Always, everybody, you are sitting in front, maybe watching through mobile or sitting at laptop, opening this YouTube, watching my video. Again, radiations are there. But how far you are keeping the distance, how long you sit in front of the screens, all so on. Somehow we all are occupying with some level of waste, but those risks should be negligible, acceptable, in other words. You can see in the diagram as well. That's why hierarchy of control is critically important. It all starts from elimination. If you start from elimination, you are achieving the most effective way actually. If you implement substitution, like you are using a solvent based paint but you went for water based, you are good to go with substitution, and that's how you replace the hazard, by the way. Or you physically remove the hazard like elimination. And then engineering controls, you make sure to isolate people from the hazard, you put some right set of engineering controls on board and helping the company process to be more safer. And this is how we optimize and ensuring productivity, quality, health of our employees accordingly, including the company operations. Now, administrative control, you have a rotation time, you put some rules, change the way people work. Like if it's somebody is using hilti drill, somebody is working in a noisy operations, somebody is working under toxic conditions, so don't let them work continuously. Like in Saudi Aramco, if you're working in confined spaces, you can't stay there more than 2 hours. You have to come out after every 2 hours. And then if you are going re-enter, make sure you do the gas testing, you follow the safety best practices, you wear the right set of you follow the right set of rules and the permit and all that. You do again the toolbox meeting sometime. And then the last, not the least, is the PPs, personal protective equipment. But PP is not only the safety. Sometimes the terrible misconception is just wearing the PPs is all enough, especially in construction. People think We have helmet, goggles, coverall, reflective jacket, safety shoes, and that's it. Barricade, my friend, this is the least effective way you implemented the controls against several hazards and risk. And imagine if you are working in oil and gas and then you are relying only on PPs, wake up, wake up. Work on complete professionally hierarchical control. Implement it gradually. I know we can't give expensive ideas to the business top leadership or the shareholders or the business partners, We can't give them so much expensive ideas. But when it's mandatory, it's essential for human life, for the environment, for the assets of the company, they would have no problem to implement that one because they also have a single wish to make sure to achieve zero accident club, right? Okay, now can we avoid the risk altogether? Since we cannot avoid the risk, we can manage it in a logical way. That's why situational safety, the common sense, the participation of each individual is critically important. Now, since we have no control over the severity of consequence, sometimes we reduce the other factors in the risk equation, which is probability of the occurrence. In the same way, like if you implement complete safety rules and regulations, like Saudi Aramco officially have mentioned, the number one cause of accidents or incidents in Saudi Aramco is not following the safety rules and regulations. So it's not only for the Aramco. Any company which is not respecting safety rules and regulations, not implementing properly, not making safety and quality their habit, probability gone up automatically. And once accident happens, blame yourself, not to anyone else, blame yourself actually. And it's a it's a terrible leadership failure also. If your people are careless, if they are not respecting safety rules, if you don't have the system, if you don't train people properly, you don't give induction, no proper trainings, no effective trainings, just blame, shame, and just by words you are telling you are the right gentleman there, things will not work. Today or tomorrow, system will kick you out. I repeat my words. If you are misfit, you are not doing your job genuinely, like just tick, 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 making fake records and thinking, fake reporting and thinking everything is okay and highlighting to the management, see, we are the best, things will not work. Today or tomorrow, you will have consequences. That's why, in my last training, one of the gentlemen who was part of the top leadership, mashallah, is managing complete operations of one of the oil and gas industry. So he mentioned an important way up that accidents are happening because of shortcuts. People love to take shortcuts, And why people love to take shortcuts? They have excuses or time saving. Sometimes they mention, we want to keep our boss happy. Sometimes they're going to say there are plenty clauses. They will not do things on time, will not achieve our targets. Customer will penalize, and there is a fine policy whatsoever. But bear in mind, safety and quality, no excuses. If you are creating excuses today or tomorrow, be ready to face the consequences. And sometimes one accident or incident is enough to destroy your whole brand, your whole company. So what we have is reduce the probability, bring the risk at acceptable level. Consequences sometime like in zone 0 or zone 20, like zone 0 mean explosive environment because of the gases and all that or the vapors, and zone 20 combustible kind of dust and all that. So consequences, even with the smallest mistake, would be horrible. We can't change the consequences, but the probability we can bring down. We can implement proper safety protocols. We make sure the work permit system is implemented. We make sure the guys are well trained, certified, authorized, and most importantly, they are highly competent individuals and they're the right person for the right job. Same way, we barricade properly. We have toolbox meeting. We have appropriate set of PPs, and the PPs are being used also. We don't work in such areas, especially in confined spaces, without standby man, without confined space entry supervisor. We get help through work permit issuer and receivers. It's not like just no certified people are there and somehow you are managing. Then make sure, bear in mind, because you are ignoring some of the safety best practices and regulations. Today or tomorrow, consequences will be there. Now, how do we classify a measure of, because hazardous area classification is a profile of risk of explosion in these areas, and risk perception is also different. If you are the one gentleman sitting in office as a safety manager and considering I'll complete risk assessment by myself, all risk assessment registers lying with me, and nobody is involved. The affected employees are not involved. The department heads are not concerned. You don't have a risk assessment team with a pool of different engineers. Then that's a risk assessment register could be a failure, to be very honest, because that's only individual effort. You are preparing, copy pasting by yourself, but no interested parties or relevant people are involved. The people who are working there for 8 hours or 12 hours, the people who will be facing a result or facing the consequences, God forbid, if anything goes wrong. Those are the guys you have to get involved for risk assessment, for hazard studies, for hazard, for method statements, anything, even preparing SOPs related to those activities or processes. Make sure you get their help because they are the one knows better than you because they are working 8, 12 hours every day into those areas. That's why, even for the classification, keep them engaged, keep working with them and telling them this is why the classification is important. This is why the zone zero have different controls, more stringent, and same way the zone one and two accordingly, and why barrication is important, why work permit is important, why we are doing all these things, because ultimately we have to mitigate the risk of explosion in such areas. That's the ultimate goal. How does area classification works? Identify, identify, identify. Wherever you have hazardous or need any hazardous area or plant where uh, any equipment need proper attention or special attention, and identify areas of the plant carrying like risk than others. Area classification make sure it allows to the operations managers to mitigate these risks by taking appropriate safety measures. Ultimately, operation is the leader of implementation. Whatever safety policies, procedures, SOPs, rules, work instructions, work permit system, operation is a department to make sure things are implemented. And if all safety measures are implemented, the probability will go down. Severity consequences will be there because you are talking about zone 0, zone 1 or 2, or zone 20 or 21 and 22. Even sometime the whole area is restricted area. You are in oil and gas industry, my friend. Same way all other hazardous industries. So design operations, material and stock movement to restrict access to these areas. Make sure you have special work procedures, and those procedures must be reviewed. If you are not capable enough, let review those procedures by the third party consultants or the industry experts. Don't think that whatever the Bible you have written is all okay, it's 100% okay. No, my friend, you no harm to get a second review and make sure you validate each information, you research properly, and your every word should have a kind of reference based on local or international standards. Otherwise, if that is based on your experience, then make sure you have proven track record of your experience. Like Saudi Aramco is the best teacher for all of us because 85 years experience in oil and gas. So whatever you want to learn related to activities, materials, any sort of system, they have a lot of written systematic documentation which you need to learn and keep learning. That's why in Aramco we conduct a lot of training like rigging and lifting, scaffolding, work permit receiver, work permit issuer. We give fire watcher trainings, H2S and SCBA. Even if they're using forklift, safe forklift operations, safe welding operations, several trainings we provide to Aramco. The reason is it's critically important. Guys, let me just put the battery because it's near to, so now we are safe. Okay, so what are the benefits of area classification? Since you give us a risk profile of the plant or facility to enable us to operate it safer, enable top management to really understand. So here, the knowledge with the top management is a supreme knowledge because then the trickle down effect will be there. It's not like just hiring a safety manager and you are thinking he will be all in all and whatever he'll be guiding you is more than enough. No, no, no. Your knowledge is the supreme knowledge because you are the leader of the house. You are the managing director, general manager. If you are assigning a safety policy and you didn't read even for a single time, and you are expecting the safety manager will be taking care of things, he knows you are not interested, you are not committed because you don't have even a single minute to read a safety policy which you are already signing in. And even sometimes you signed in and it's displayed and nobody studied ever what is written inside. I hope you got my point. So that's why, I created a training. We call it effective safety leadership. That's training purely in my own words. And I'm selling this training only to the general managers, the president of the companies, the board members, or the CEOs of the companies, the top leaders, actually, the industry top leaders, the initiators, the founders, actually. They are the right one to give them the comprehensive knowledge, how they can handle, manage, deal with, the so-called knowledgeable like safety managers or quality managers or supervisors or safety officers, because otherwise they'll be manipulating, they will go on their way. And when the consequence is going to be there, any fatal incident or accident, only the blame shame will not work because you can't satisfy yourself because you have a safety manager. Where is your knowledge more than safety manager? Where is your knowledge above than quality manager? Where is your knowledge related to product, related to technical specs? You know, then you can deal all level of your teams. Yes, it's really hard sometimes because we think we don't have time. That's why we hired the manager and he is responsible. Yes, he's a manager, but you are the leader to manage those managers. So I'm encouraging to the founders, the CEOs, the president, the general managers, or the directors or the managing directors of the companies, please keep learning and learn how you're gonna manage your QHSC teams, or the CSR teams or HR teams. Be more smartest guys in shape of knowledge. Then you can, whenever they come up with their plans, oh, this is our safety plan, this is our quality plan. So you must be capable to have some cross questions. If they're coming to get some safety budget, you must be capable to get some justification why that much money they're asking for, you know. So that's only can happen if you as a leader of the house enhancing your knowledge, not only relying, oh, since I have hired a team member, it's more than enough. So please, that's why the top management commitment is critically important. Commitment means the promise, the framework. You're promising to all the stakeholders that you'll take care of the company employees, the biggest assets of course, the business world. You'll take care of your customers, all other stakeholders, including regulatory bodies. You'll respect the government legal authorities as well, whatever the standardized rules they have. Same way, the global best practices and standards. Reduce the cost of compliance to regulation and standards without compromising on the safety. So, let me mention again, safety, quality, and credibility, no compromise, no excuse. So, make sure you give proper responsibilities, dedicated one. You, along with the responsibility, you set some KPIs, key performance indicators, and you measure them through HR. Make sure you have a performance management system. I'm talking to the top leadership, you know, within this slide actually. And make sure your performance management system is giving the highlight who is the gentleman along with the responsibility achieving the KPIs. And if you have defined the KPIs, key performance indicators, ask the guys bring achievement plan. If you have any target set, make sure like they came up with a target, okay, 50% reduction in first aid cases. To ask them, where is the achievement plan? How you gonna achieve it? Rather than just getting happy because the target is set. But how they gonna achieve it? What resources they need? What commitment they need from your side? And how they're gonna penetrate and have an overall safety culture helping to achieve that target? All these things matters a lot the moment you start asking questions. So that's why I created this training, effective safety leadership. So reduce the cost of compliance to regulation and standards without compromising on the safety. Otherwise, if you don't, because safety is a legal requirement. If you don't follow safety, Today or tomorrow, you get penalized by the government and you start getting warning letters. You start getting fines. So, and think about the goodwill. Your goodwill is multi-billion dollar, value is there. It's not only few reals, right? Make the overall operation safer and more profitable. So, ask your QHSC leadership how your systems, either you are benchmarking ISO standards or API or NFPA or OSHA, whatever standards they benchmark, OEC or NEC, whatever. Just ask them how these kind of actions or knowledge based standards, how they are going to improve the overall safety, quality, productivity, health of the employees. And absenteeism graph is going down, the quality in everything is improving day by day. That is the ultimate crux. Otherwise, if these targets are not these benefits you are not getting, today or tomorrow you will fed up. You will start thinking QHSC is just operational cost. While it's a business continuity cost, you go to bidding, always you need quality and safety people in your organizational hierarchy. You have to mention them. This is a safety supervisor or manager, or at least safety officer who's managing and tendering and bidding, meeting the client requirements, because client only want to work with the companies who are more responsible in safety, quality, and health, environment, and CSR, corporate social responsibility. So I took little more time just for the leadership. If they can listen this video, of course, it's a motivation for all of you. So be more knowledgeable, be more competent, much competent than any individual working under you, because you are the owner, you are the founder, you are the CEO of the company. So make sure nobody plays with you and you bring something fruitful on the table, and trickle down effect is going towards everybody, whoever is working directly or indirectly for your business, serving your business even. So how area classification reduce cost? It tells us what kind of equipment can be used in the area and what can't be used. You know, we sometimes say you buy cheap items, then you buy again and again. You buy bad equipment, then you buy again and again, or you go with the repair and maintenance cost. And of course, so much better is to go with the higher quality, with the better safety structure. That's why only, like if we take an example of Saudi Aramco, only FMUL, EX, the best trade quality marks are acceptable related to any equipment or any materials Aramco is buying. Same way, encouraging to all high hazardous industries, make sure you guys something learning day by day from Saudi Aramco as a best teacher, especially in oil and gas industry. So put explosion protected electrical equipment. It's a game of design, carrying marking also whether it can be used or not without a worry, and make sure you know where you are using electrical equipment or instrument that are suitable only for zone 2 and zone 1. It can't happen you buy equipment for zone 2 as per the nature of zone 2 environment, and you are thinking I can use it in zone 0. No, no, no. You purchase equipment in line with compatible with zone 22 for combustible dust, and you are thinking you can use in zone 20 also the same equipment. So, guys, your procurement strategy should also be based on this classification. So, this classification is truly important. That's why the life cycle of the asset, the shelf life or expiry date. Like you purchase an equipment and the shelf life or the life cycle is maybe 20 years, but it's damaged in 5 years. 15 years before you lost your money, and you will lose the trust of your shareholders, including the business partners or the people who are investing. Investors will shake their head. They invested money for 20 years and you damage it in 5 years because you don't have proper safety system for access control program. You don't have proper safety kind of individual who can help you up how to secure not only the assets, even the employees, even the environment, even the business goodwill overall. That's why this classification is important. So classification you can do based on IEC system like zones and groups, like European system, or you benchmark North American system, NEC. Classes and divisions are there. IEC stands for International Electrotechnical Committee. Either you benchmark their standards, accordingly you classify everything, or you go with NEC, National Electric Code. Either you go with IEC or NEC or both way, but make sure you benchmark uh, with clarity that this is because based on that everything later on will be reflecting in your BOQ, bill of quantity, if it's a new project, if you're going for maintenance, overhauling, changing some parts, all these things you have to go back and check the reference based on what international standards you benchmark the zones, and accordingly you need to buy the equipment. Okay. Like, let's take an example of a European system, IEC system. Like, European system is based on the zones, right? Every hazardous area broken into different zones, like based on the likelihood of the hazardous gases vapor mixture being present. Same way, take an example. What is zone? The IEC has defined three areas of hazardous areas, like gas vapors, release or follows, explosive atmosphere, continuously present. So important word you need to remember: any explosive atmosphere continuously present, always zone 0. Okay, where explosive mixture of gas, vapor or mist is continuously present, that's zone 0. And zone 1 is all about explosive atmosphere, which is available, present but oftenly, like zone in which explosive mixture of gas, vapors or mist is likely to occur during normal operation. Same way the zone 2, explosive atmosphere may accidentally be present, which means no continuous, no often, only may. So might be, in other words, accidentally be present. So zone in which an explosive mix is not likely to occur in normal operation, and if it is occur, will only exist for a short time, maybe less than 10 hours or less than 1000 hours. But if any area, like as per NEC also, they mention, in zone 0 means continuously atmosphere is available for up to or more than 1000 hours continuously. That's zone 0. Then, same way the other criteria. So we'll be discussing inshallah NEC as well. Like, this is European system IEC. See the time of exposure, like above than 1000 hours per year. IEC zone 0 and degree of hazard is high. So always in zone 0, any repair, maintenance or any sort of project you have, including inspection even, or changing some parts whatsoever, you have to be very careful how you're going to use like in Aramco we have equipment opening line break, same way, what isolation or LOTO permit system you have, how you're going to isolate energies, how you're going to lock and tag, how you're going to validate, how you're going to purge by using nitrogen, how you're going to make sure LEL is 0% if it is a hot work, and especially in zone 0, how you're going to make sure not a single chance of ignition is there, which can destroy the whole process, And you can't issue the permit, by the way, until you have successful isolation and LOTO application implemented. You can't even sign the permit. If you are signing the permit and later on you are the one doing isolation and LOTO and all that, better to have a separate permit for isolation. And like EULB permit and Aramco is very famous. That's why, first, before signing the permit, first they issue the isolation LOTO permit if needed. Then, they make sure the right set of rules or regulations or safety best practices are used for isolation and LOTO, and how to close the wall, how to put lock and tag, how to drain out, how to make sure there is no residual energy or remained energy. Everything is done. If any fumes are there, how to purge the line by using inert gas or nitrogen. In other words, how they're going to make sure oxygen is not coming on your way when you're purging with nitrogen. So all these things have plenty of importance, which you need to consider because it's a high risk area, right? Same way, 10 to 1000 hours per year is zone 1, even though it's medium, but the flammable mixture of gases or vapors are present intermittently because sometimes it's happening. But Less than 10 hours per year, zone 2 is low, an area which flammable mixture of gases or vapors are present rarely and for a short period of time. So for easy understanding, this is another criteria to remember why that, how that classification works. This is another example. Even with meters like 1.5 meter, 3 meter, and even you see this. If we talk about zone 0, find out in the diagram where is zone 0. The same bubbles. This is zone 0. And if you zone 1, where is that zone 1? So wherever we have vent holes or around the thief hatch or maybe, a tank within due, maybe, within 3 meter or 1.5 meter around vent, you know, or if auxiliary is going onward around vent up to 3 meter, that's also called, see this uh, zone 1 because directly liquid is going here. And then zone 2, see the around the area, zone 2. And then these lines, so you have a clear understanding up to 3 meter and sometimes up to 6 meter, we implement zone 2. So this example give you an insight how you declare or identify and display the zone 0, 1 or 2. This is another example. Okay, where you can identify wherever liquid, gas, diesel, petrol is moving around or storing or going through the pipelines, all are zone 0. Any design vents we have nearby that up to 1.5 meters, sometimes we call it zone 1, and zone 2 is after the 3 meter, like, outside area. This is another example, zone 0, wherever you have direct liquid available in shape of gas, oil, diesel, whatsoever, even in the tanks, even underground tank, zone 0. Zone 1 is a bit outside, and zone 2, I hope you understand now in blue color. So European system zones, remember for gas and dust is zone 0, zone 1 and 2, dust is zone 20, 21 and 22. Now hazardous area characteristics, a hazardous area is highly likely to present and may be present for long periods of time, like above than 1000 hours. We already discussed 10 to 1000 hours per year, zone 1 or zone 21. Less than 10 hours per year, zone 2 or zone 22, related to gas or combustible dust. This is another example. Wherever the direct liquid is there, zone 0. Zone 1, understand the color. Understand the color. This is zone 0. This color, zone 1. Because vents we have, hatch we have, vent is there. And these are the design because if any uh, extra pressure is inbuilt, automatically through these vent holes, those pressures have to go into the air. So that's why still vapors are coming outside. So we have to nominate it as a zone 1. Okay, but 10 to 1000 hours per year. Now, zone 2. Zone 2, look at the green area, you know. So we set a boundary and up to zone 2, even increase 1 or 2 more meters or feet and then barricade and create a line of fire. Make it restricted area, prohibited area. Nobody should come into this area without a permit. Same way, this is an example. Like 3 meter from vent opening, zone 0, like 3 meter from vent opening. 3 meter, up to 3 meter vent opening, zone 0. 3 meter above the roof, zone 1. 3 meter above the roof, zone 1. And C, where is C? 3 meter horizontally from the tank, zone 2. Okay. So that's another way to make you understand based on IEC 6069-10-1 flammable liquid storage tank situated outdoor with fixed roof. Another example, zone 0, zone 1, zone 2. Another example, wherever we have zone 0, zone 1 and zone 2. Flammable liquid, zone 0, zone 1, vent area and zone 2, walls or bonds. One more example. The liquid, wherever liquid is traveling, wherever that liquid is traveling even, or from the storage, underground storage tank coming to the, uh, vehicle tank again. And that's why bonding, earthing, different mechanisms needed to avoid from any explosion or fire incident, especially in those zones. One more example. Okay. Here is another example. Now I'm sure you will have a clear understanding how we identify, how we classify the hazardous areas in shape of zone 0, 1 or 2, or zone 20, 21 or 22. Okay. One more example. One more example. We have seen several gas stations, petrol stations, in other words. We have different brands. Even Saudi Aramco launched now the gas stations, the petrol stations as well, because they want to get advantage of complete supply chain. I'm just turning off my video because I don't want to turn on the light, by the way. So bear with me. So zone 1, zone 0, zone 2. Zone 0, where the liquid is directly present. Zone 1 and zone 2. See one more example, especially for the group 2 hazardous area zone, like gas vapors area zone. Then we have zone 0. Then we have zone 1, zone 1, zone 1. And if it's a combustible fibers or dust, then zone 20, zone 21, zone 22. So guys, I hope you would have understood why the zone numbers are important. This is another example of combustible dust or fibers. So IEC have defined two gas groups like group 1 and group 2. And 11A, 11B, 11C. 11C is more danger, by the way. And 11B is less danger. 11A is bit. So systematically, they have mentioned the materials classification under IEC system. Like hydrogen, the group is, here you have an opportunity. All types of gases, what are their groups? You can research on Google, AI tools, go to YouTube and find out all types of gases and their groups. Like hydrogen is 11C. That's why degree of hazard is high. Ethylene 11B, medium. Propane 11A, low. So understand the classes as per NEC, like North American system, classes, divisions and groups. Because these understanding of classes and groups are important. So accordingly, you plan everything. You plan everything. You want to buy any equipment material for those areas for zone 0, 1 or 2 or 20, 21 or 22. So you can see how these classes can help us. So accordingly, you can tell your supplier, you can have a detailed TDS or BOQ, send PO to your supplier. So accordingly, he will providing you, the zone based qualitative explosion proof or fire proof materials. Same way, this is class 1, class 2, class 3. See a good example. Flammable vapors is class 2, class 1. Class 2 is oxygen air, flammable dust. Class 3 is flammable fluff or flying scene. Because oxygen is mostly everywhere. There are divisions for normal operations and division 2 in which ignitable concentration of hazards are handled, processed or used. And division 1 is in which concentration of hazard exists under normal operations conditions. A hazard is caused by frequent maintenance or repair work. So these classes you have to understand. Like class 1, group A, B, C, D, an example of materials. So you have different materials, acetylene, hydrogen, ethylene, propane, and there is a group and the class. Same way you have class 2, class 1, class 2. Two classes are there and 6, 7 groups in other words. Just an example. An example of the material is also given. Like in class 2, if we take the group E, material examples are aluminum, magnesium, and dust. Class 2 F, atmosphere containing combustible same dust like coal and coke as well. And class 2 G is dust that are not included. Same way, class 1 A, acetylene, class 1 B, hydrogen, class 1 C, ethylene, and class 1 D, propane. So each class you have to understand according to the group, and the example material should also be there. And this is another opportunity you can research and start learning further. Otherwise, understand the material classification under the two systems. Like if you are benchmarking European IEC gas group or North American gas group, and these are the materials, then understand the classes as per IEC is uh, 2C, in other words, and as per American group is class A or group A. Then hydrogen 2C, and as per North American group NEC is A. Same way class CB, same way ethylene, same way propane. So understand the group as per IEC and as per North American group gas. So IEC or NEC. Based on that, you take your material decisions. So there are zone 1, zone 0, zone 0 and zone 1. Both should be come under division 1. And zone 2 based on IAC or NEC, division 2. So division 1, division 2. Zone 0, zone 1, zone 2. So zone 2 lying in division 2. And zone 0 and zone 1 lying in division 1. Either you benchmark IAC regulations, standards, or you follow NEC. This is further examples of temperatures classes like IEC T1, T2, T3. There are temperatures like maximum surface temperatures. Why this is necessary? As the hot surface provides sufficient energy to ignite flammable mixtures of vapors, gases, or dust. That's why SCADA system is a great help. Even after installation of the whole system, still SCADA is giving you different readings and indicators. So accordingly, you have your maintenance or response team in the field. And IEC maximum service temperature is well mentioned. Same way for NEC as per NEC. So you have to understand based on which code will be better for you for zone 1, zone 0, or zone 2. Accordingly, you are going to buy either you benchmark NEC or IAC. Both standards are well mentioned. This is just an example of temperature classification. Like an area is handling carbon despite like extremely flammable material falling under IC group 2C. It is expected that carbon dioxide may be present for long periods of time, but less than 1000 hours in a year. Then the area could be classified as zone 1, group 2C, and T6. And these numbers should be mentioned, when you buy the material, you get the TDS technical data sheet from your supplier. So all these information should be there in the technical data sheet, even SDS safety data sheet. The last symbol T6 denotes the temperature classification. This area is classified as T6 because carbon disulfide has an ignition temperature 90 degrees C. Hence, the maximum surface temperature that an apparatus located in an area has to be less than this value. Else, it will be potential source of ignition if it's come into contact with a such hot surface. Okay, guys. So protection techniques. Bear in mind these. Popular types like EXD, wherever you see on any equipment, any pipeline, anything, just to make sure you understand this is flame and explosion proof. Same way, if EXE is there, increased safety, EXN, no sparking, EXP, pressurization. Same way the powder field like EXQ, not popular types of course, EX0, oil immersed. Mostly you will see these popular types, which is acceptable to mostly brands. Flame proof, D, application would happen in switch gears, motors, machine control systems. So you decide the protection technique and accordingly you see where it is going to apply, you know. Same way, E, increased, in case of increased safety concept, okay, where we can apply this one, junction boxes, terminal boxes, lighting, measuring instruments, transformers, square cage motors. E can be implemented for insulated enclosure like mini RP54 mean EX certified electrical equipment. So EX is explosion proof as well with electrical connections that can't be loosened by themselves. D is also a good protection, especially mainly for junction boxes. 100% increased safety. Sparking equipment maybe D. Most products commonly refer to E combine the two types of protection E plus D. And your procurement department, your quality and safety department must be knowledgeable to help the company to buy the right set of equipment with the right quality marks or certifications. So same way guys, the D products also called ED. This is kind of a stainless steel cabinet. Can be used for junction box like D control station as well. Even if that I mark is there, see the EXI equipment and incapable of causing ignition in normal operations like, so this is also, so you decide which trademark will help you in shape of quality and safety. And also ignitable concentrations are critically important. Pressurization P, hazardous atmosphere is there. So protection by which the entry of a surrounding atmosphere into enclosure of the electrical apparatus is prevented by maintaining inside the set closure a protective gas at a higher pressure than that of a surrounding atmosphere. The overpressure is maintained with or without continuous flow of protective gas. The protective gas can be either air, inert gas, or an suitable gas. When we give face-to-face trainings, we share a lot of videos also. So here, because of the copyright issues, I'm unable to share some videos. But when we give face-to-face classroom-based trainings, I share a lot of videos also for better understanding. But here, of course, the guys who are interested to learn, surely they'll be learning a lot, inshallah. So if it is the mark is N, like, so make sure you can use them in zone 2 and division 2 like energy restriction or ceiling. That's all can happen, especially for electrical equipment which is not capable of igniting potentially explosive atmosphere under normal operations. So in you have to decide, as I told you, every input you need to decide based on which international standards you are benchmarking and making sure they are fireproof, explosion proof. Either you are using them in zone 0, zone 1 or 2, or zone 20, 21, or 22. We can also get help from API, American Petroleum Institute, using Devian method only for petroleum industries. Like European standards, the IEC using zoning method for general industries, API 505 for petroleum industry using zoning method, North America using classes and divisions like class 1 for gases and class 2 for dust and class 3 for fibers. These marks are important. You have to see the EX marking like EX explosion protection, same way. If T6 you see T6 maximum 85 degree like temperature class. If you see 2 mean group 2 surface work, underground work. EX is very mandatory kind of things for marking equipment. Usable to explosive atmosphere, sometimes broadly used for IEC EX equipment. So based on the European Committee for Electromechanical Standardization, this is the marking, so whatever you are buying, just make sure you check the trademark. This is another example, like C mark, you have explosion protection mark, you have G for gas, D for dust, you know you have European standard. So ATEX marking system is there. Even category is well defined. These two for zone 1 and 21. Category 1 is for zone 0 and 20. Category 3 is for zone 2 or 22. Equipment group is 1 for mines and 2 for other than mines. So ethics is helping a lot, by the way, to high hazardous industries. Now, what do you think? EX or, so you can comment. What do you think about this one? EX or what? Ingress protection, IP classification, like designate the degree of protection provided by an enclosure against impact and water or dust penetration. It has two numbers, like first and second, protection against solid objects or protection against water. So at any cost, every input in zone 0, zone 20 or zone 2 or zone 21 or zone 1 or zone 3 or zone 20, 21 or 22, you have to make sure your each input is fireproof, explosion proof, and state of the art quality and safety marks are there. This is some of the IP ratings. Like if you buy IP number 60, so first digit solids mean protected from total dust ingress, but second digit liquids not protected from liquid. If you buy same way IP 69K, protected from total dust, protected from steam jet cleaning. So based on the IEC 6525 or based on IEC 60, this like ED 2.1 or clause 4.1, or you use IP codes ED 2.1 like Geneva International Electro Technical Commission 2011. So you have to be very clear based on what international standards, IEC or NEC or API or IP numbers you are buying, and that's what fulfilling your purpose, because especially all these things you have to plan during the design phase actually. It's not like your BOQ should have all these references proactively. Don't when you are going to buy, then you start working, okay, based on which standard, tell Mr. Safety, tell Mr. Quality Manager how we gonna work on. That's important when you are just have a business idea in oil and gas. That's important when you started making drawings. It became important then you start making BOQ according to the drawings as per your business idea. So in the BOQ, give all the reference for everything, because you are going to list up what exactly you are going to buy to complete your project and to have that industry on board. So what if hazardous area is wrongly classified? Unnecessarily pay more money for sure, more maintenance costs. Facility will incur more costs over its life cycle. So cost would be high, and they may be result in unwanted explosion leading to loss of life and property. That's why the classification of API methods helping us a lot. You are using API 500 or IEC for zoning methods, or API for petroleum industry zoning method, or North America using classes and divisions for class 1 for gas, class 2 for dust, or class 3 for fiber. So it all depends which standard you are benchmarking. Whatever standard you benchmark, accordingly, the whole system you need to design, the whole items you need to buy. And if it's a mixture of standards, then compatibility analysis are also important. It's not like one part is coming from USA, one part coming from Europe, and one part is locally manufactured, and you are thinking all can be fit on one plant or one machine, and there wouldn't be any issue. So make sure you have some sort of a reliability engineer with some sort of state-of-the-art technical skills who can guide you well. Don't rely always on safety or quality people. Sometimes you need the high-tech engineers, especially the reliability engineers, to give you some compatibility analysis. If those knowledgeable guys are not there, find a consultant or industry expert as a third party. So summary is European system IEC, like the IEC has defined three areas of hazardous area of vapor, release or failures, like explosive atmosphere continuously present is zone 0. Explosive atmosphere is often present zone 1. We already discussed even the same way. Explosive atmosphere may accidentally be present. So that's zone 2. That's all we discussed already. Even this one, even this one. You remember we have discussed all. So remember these 7 steps. Like step 1 is decide on the standard that would be followed. That's number 1. Decide the standard, either IEC or NEC. Step 2, check out the layout of the facility. Drawing is important. The layout of the plant, the quantities that are handled in the process plant. And of course, step 3 is what is the material temperature classification. So again, you have to go back and check based on which international standard you are going to buy, because material temperature classifications is important. And I told you it must be already enlisted in the BOQ. The moment you have a business idea, the moment you have completed your drawing layouts, make sure all BOQ is ready with all the international standards references along with the material specs. Flash points, auto ignition temperature, density even of vapor, gas, lighter or heavier than air. Step 4 is divide the plant into different units. Start to evaluate the sources of release of unit. Classify them as continuous grade, primary grade, or secondary grade. Tabulate them finding in a worksheet and mark these on the general arrangement drawing of the unit. Step 5 is evaluate ventilation in the area, close or open. How does the wind go? Does the wind direction remain the same or change? Even velocity of wind should also be analyzed here. Vapor cloud formed, how far it will travel along with the wind. Are there any places where escape vapors may accumulate? So sources of release, continuous grade, primary or secondary grade, abnormal, normal or normal, all need to be evaluated. Step 6 is based on the finding of step 4 and 5. You set the standard you are following, mark the hazardous area on the drawings. It's a game of drawing, but make sure the drawings are not wrong. The drawing should be passed through, the regulatory bodies as well. These extents will be surrounding the release points, and that have been marked in step 4. The last step is divide the hazardous area into divisions or zones depending on the standard you are using. So your hazardous area classification or division zoning will be based on the standard you are using. So that's why the first step is decide the standard. Accordingly, you plan everything. So guys, this is what we have learned so far, like understand the concept of hazardous area, interpret hazardous area classification system, recognize common hazardous area substances, and the same way, all 9 topics you have learned, and most importantly, the safety culture. I told you it's a teamwork. It's a teamwork, janitor to general manager. Everyone is responsible for safety, quality, and credibility of the company. So help each other, support each other. No blame shame game. No negativity. Have some positive mindset and think it's an ibadah, saving one life, saving the whole humanity. So with that ethical approach, start supporting your company and start working together as a team. And yes, the top leadership have to be committed. If you still have any question, gentlemen, just write me in the comment section. So I'll be happy to answer. Wait for my next video. There would be a exam, 15 questions of exams along at the end. I'll see who can give the right answers. Otherwise, I'll be telling the right answers. This is just an example of hazardous area classification on the drawing. So the drawing should be accurate, approved by the government regulatory bodies. Any unapproved drawing and you are classifying the areas is not acceptable. Make sure even after the classification, after the zoning, still you are getting further approval from your clients, from regulatory bodies. If you're in Saudi Arabia, no harm to discuss with Ministry of Energy also. No harm to get insights from Saudi Aramco, you know. So thank you very much, guys. Uh, I'll have an exam Q&A for 15 questions. So wait for my next video. So far, thank you very much. If you are new to our training zone channel, please subscribe, like, and share. This is our daily learning club. And I hope, like me as a safety learner, you would also be learning a lot. Thank you very much, guys. Take care of yourself.